Welcome to Empower Hour. Let's get growing. Good morning. How are you guys? Not sure who's here with me this morning. We're streaming from a few different places. One thing is for sure, though, I'm not an influencer. I don't think I ever will be. And going live and doing these things really help me be the best version of myself. They help me with my speaking. It helps me with my setting my intentions. I have been using social media to set my intentions and for accountability for longer than anybody I know. I've been just putting it out there. And it's like, if you put it out there, you kind of have to follow up. So I appreciate anybody who is here and anybody who has been following me on this journey. And I am especially grateful for all of you that reach out and tell me how you've loved following it and it's inspired you to do this or inspired you to do that. And that's really what it's all about, right? All of us stepping into our light and shining as brightly as we can so that we allow others, we're blazing the trail and allow others to do the same. So this morning, I want to talk to you guys about the business of becoming. This has been my ultimate journey. There's a lot of traps with being an entrepreneur. We build ourselves into a golden cage. And one of the things that inspired me the most to morph my business into the kind of businesses it is now is all the conversations that I have with business leaders and business owners. You know, they got into their business because they love what they do and they wanted freedom and they wanted joy. And the next thing you know, they can't stand their clients, they can't stand their employees, and they're on their phones, on their computers nonstop, and they feel trapped and they don't have that freedom and they're not loving what they do anymore. And a lot of us are basically living our lives around our business. Well, I'm going to tell you a little story. Imagine you decided you wanted to bake a cake and you wanted to bake the most amazing cake ever. And you took your time and you researched all the recipes and you bought the finest ingredients and you baked the cake and it came out, looked beautiful, and you had the perfect icing and you decorated this cake and it was just, it just looked perfect. It looked glorious. And then you take a slice and you take a bite and you realize that you baked the cake with salt instead of sugar. By the way, this actually happened to me. I think it might have been the first cake that I ever made. I used salt instead of sugar. The second cake that I ever made, I left the spoon in it, and I could go on and on. But this is a metaphor for how my life felt about 7 years ago, pre-pandemic. I remember sitting in my office and realizing I had this 7-year plan that I had put together, and I had checked off all the boxes on the 7-year plan. Every single thing had been accomplished. And yet I felt empty. I felt miserable. Not miserable, but I was not happy. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Claudia. And hi, hello, Jose. I felt empty. I remember thinking, is this it? Because I didn't feel good. I was drinking a lot at night so that I could decompress, so I could wake up in the morning and do all the same things all over again. I was using that as a crutch. I was not present for my family. My relationships were not super healthy. So I realized this, but yet I didn't make any changes. I stayed in the same situations out of fear, out of comfort, out of all kinds of reasons. And then the pandemic started, and the pandemic did so much good for me. The pandemic is when I really stepped into realizing coaching was what I was meant to be doing, not real estate. And I was in action, and it felt so great. And I began asking that question of who am I and why am I here? I stopped drinking, and I gained so much clarity, but I still stayed. I still stayed. So the universe and I have a very funny relationship, although I don't think it's very funny in the moments. So fast forward about 3 years ago, the universe decided, you're not getting the message, Jen. There is more, and you can have it all. And all of a sudden, pretty much overnight, everything was gone. Income, savings, my business, lots of friendships. It was pretty intense. But I immediately realized, because I had that clarity, that this was not a disaster. It was an initiation. It was an initiation into the life of my desires. And so thankfully, I had that clarity, and I launched my coaching business. I broke 6 figures in the first year. But I realized that after the first year, that I was already following some of the patterns that had brought me, even when I was at the height of my real estate business, the patterns that had brought me to that place where I achieved it all, but I wasn't happy because I was not putting myself first. I wasn't living my truth. I didn't, back then I didn't know what I wanted. Now I knew, because I had been taking the time to gain that clarity, but I was still falling into those old patterns. And you know what, you guys, if I wasn't a coach, I don't think I would have recognized those patterns. And so I made a decision the first year into my business, and things were scary financially. My husband had been sick for a while, and he did step up and was taking care of most of the household expenses from June of 22 through that first year while I was building my business. And I decided after the first year, I needed to take a step back, and I needed to work on myself, work on these patterns, and really unearth why I was doing the same things. And the same things were people pleasing, putting other people before me. But I realized that the people pleasing really stemmed from financial fear, financial insecurity, scarcity mindset. Sure, I'll come coach in person when I knew my goal was to be 100% remote, but I'm agreeing to coach in person because I'm afraid that if I don't agree to that, you're not going to coach with me and I'm going to be broke. And that's scary. And that was the root of so many of my decisions, not honoring my truth and understanding my purpose and embodying it. And so I made that decision. I didn't pursue the clients that I was working with that were in person. I didn't go after them and try to get them to renew. And I actually took a break from really pursuing new clients. The business still grew, but it wasn't growing at the rate that it grew in the first year, because I decided for the first time I was able to make a decision that was not based on financial insecurity and scarcity. It was putting myself first. It was living my truth. It was being in my wholeness. Thank you, David. And so I made that decision. I did it. And then my husband left. We had issues for quite some time, not putting any blame on him, but that really ripped the rug from underneath me, because he was helping. a lot at that point. You know, and my plan was I was going to take care of us for the rest of our life. So I had no problem with his help, but now it was gone. And I was left with the entire household responsibility, a financial mess. If you've ever had a marriage breakup, you know exactly. But I really didn't handle all my finances perfectly for most of my life. One of the things that I'm working through still. And I finally stepped into faith. I didn't then panic and be like, oh my God, I better go back to those clients and I better do this and I better do that. I stayed the course. I did the healing. I unearthed the patterns and figured out why I was making, you know, even though I had mostly realized it was based out of fear and scarcity and financial insecurity, but there was more to it. Why did I feel that way? And I spent almost an entire year doing that work with my bank account. Like, you know, I remember going to bed, you know, $10 in the account. But you know what the miracles are? That like I would wake up and there would be $300 in the account. And then it just began to grow from there because I stepped into my faith and I put my truth, my purpose, what my passion and my vision is, and the life that I desire to live, I put it first for the first time ever. And now, going into the end of year 3, I started Q1. I'm on track to do 3 to 4 times the amount of business that I did last year in year 2. In year 2, I had already, you know, so the embodiment, the faith is the truth. If we follow this is where the magic, the miracles, the joy, the freedom, and all of that comes into place. I am committed to building a life that I desire by design, and then building a business that supports that. And I basically spent 30 years in real estate. Not that there's anything wrong with real estate. I love it. It did some amazing things for me. I raised 2 children, mostly on my own in that career. But I was living my life around my business. And I had no idea who I was or why I was here and what I wanted out of life. And so I remember the first time I coached from my balcony in the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic condo is one of those things on my 7-year list. So I'm on my balcony and I'm, you know, coaching. And I think I was coaching real estate at the time. I was still in real estate. And, you know, the ocean sound and the breeze and the smell. And I had my iced tea in my hand and I'm, you know, barefoot, anticipating the walk that I'm going to take after this session. And I just knew in that moment that this was it. I did not want to be tethered to an office. I didn't want to be tethered. And that way back when I had started, you know, exploring, I've been doing home exchanges for years with my condo. I go here, you go there, and I'm able to travel inexpensively, pretty much free. So oftentimes I save money when I travel. Like when I go to Portugal this summer, it's the food, everything there is so much less expensive than it is here. And I just knew in that moment that that was the life that I wanted. And then, you know, 1 year into my business, I already defaulted into patterns. Meanwhile, I'm coaching all day long about embodiment and purpose and staying in your truth and following your passion. And that's how deep-seated, how programmed we are, that even though I had the clarity, it started to sneak in. And there I was coaching in person when I knew that that was not at all my truth, my purpose, my calling, my passion, and where I wanted to be and the life that I wanted to live. And so I made a decision, you guys, in the last month or so. And I am actually giving up my New York residency. And I am going to spend a year being a nomad. Here I am this morning in White Plains. So it's only half an hour from where I normally live, but it's still an adventure. It's still somewhere different. It's still something new. And this is what my heart desires. This is the life that I want right now. And who knows what the future will bring. And yes, I have, my daughters who still need me in certain capacities, my granddaughter who, oh my God, how much I love her and spending that time with her. I'm actually going to have, tonight we're going to a Taylor Swift experience show at the Paramount, and then she's sleeping over here, and where I am today has the cutest dogs in the world, and we're going to have so much fun in White Plains for the weekend. And I still have a financial mess that I'm cleaning up on a regular basis. But despite it all, knowing that, in the past, I would have said, oh, but everybody needs me. Everybody, I need to stay. What kind of mother would I be? What kind of grandmother would I be? What kind of daughter would I be? My mom has a lot going on right now in her life, health-wise. And, but I know that I can still play the most supportive role, even if I am not here all the time. And by the way, when you decide to put yourself first and really know who you are and what you want out of life, you become a better daughter. You become a better mother. You become a better coach. You become a better whatever you want. Because the fact of the matter is, when we are putting everybody else first, we're showing up half-assed. We're showing up resentful. We're showing up not present. We're drinking too much at the end of the day to silence our feelings, or maybe a carton of ice cream, whatever it may be. Thank you, guys. So, no more just talking about alignment. I am so committed to living my life fully aligned with the vision, with my desires, with my truth. One cool thing that I'm doing is I'm launching a blog about this. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to go live today. Jose, can you put that slide up? So I'm launching a new blog, and it's called Untethered Jen. And I hope that you subscribe to it. And this will be, it's going to be like a lot about my adventures and my travels and my journey. Absolutely. But it's also going to be not the business coach version. It's going to have a lot of talk about living in your purpose, living in alignment, and building a life of your dreams and a business that supports it. And I think we've been getting it wrong. We've been doing it the other way around. You can take it down now, Jose. So I want to ask you this morning, are you building a business that reflects the life that you desire? Or are you living your life around your business? Because I'm here to tell you that it's really difficult to find the joy, to find the happiness, to find the freedom when you are building it that way. I had to lose it all. And I believe that I lost it all so that I could come here and tell you all about it. And I'm so grateful, and I'm so blessed that I was given a skill set and a mindset, which I work on every day for probably the last 20 something years. But I was born with a certain set of skills that have enabled me to overcome so much. But that's the thing, you guys, I didn't overcome so much to live in mediocrity, and neither did you. So I challenge you to take that step, to begin asking yourself, who am I and why am I here? To begin to define the greater purpose in your business so that you can begin to find that purpose and let that be your North Star. When we are just defaulting ourselves into our realities, it's going to be really hard to find all the things that we desire, that we want to do. As my friend Craig Siegel says, playing small is canceled, no longer shrinking. We want to expand. We want to become all that we can be. And by the way, if nobody has told you, you can have it all. You can have wealth, abundance, health, prosperity, healthy relationships, travel, whatever it is that you want. It is all possible. And you are the only one who can make it happen. And whatever your reality is right now, here today, it is a result of your choices, your decisions, and your actions. It is not because of the politics. It's not because of the economy. It's not because of what happened to you. Hey, if it was because of what happened to you, you guys, I would probably be dead or on welfare with 9 children, addicted to drugs or whatever. So circumstances do not make you. Your choices, your decisions, and your actions do. So I don't know if anybody that's in the StreamYard, I know some of my clients are here. If any of you want to come forward, just say that you want to enter the studio, or anybody has a question, a thought, or some epiphany that has happened to you, or an experience to share how you've been living your purpose. I'd love to hear from you. I'm sipping my iced tea from White Plains. It is not quite the same from sipping it from my balcony in the Dominican Republic. But I am so grateful, so blessed, and I'm really, really excited to share this journey with you guys and just keep showing up. I'm going to shine my light as bright as possible. I know there's lots of you out there who probably get triggered by me in a negative way. Who is she? Who does she think she is? Blah, 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 blah. Well, that's okay, because I'm here to serve my purpose, live my truth, and to be an example for everybody else to be able to do the same. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to hearing from you and sharing this journey with you, and have an amazing weekend.